This is the Reds POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Cincinnati Reds. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, Reds fans, and welcome to another edition of the POSTCAST brought to you by Locked On Reds and the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm Tim Daniel. I'm a lifelong Cincinnati Reds fan, and I've been podcasting about this team for 5 years at publications such as Late Night Reds and the Riverfront. And I want to thank you all for spending some time with me today as we discuss the Cincinnati Reds shooting themselves in the foot today in Bristol at the Speedway Classic with a 4-2 loss over the Atlanta Braves. If you are just checking me out for the first time, welcome. It's so great to have you here. Please be sure to hit the notification button here on YouTube so you can only get my show after each and every Reds game. You can get Jeff Carr and Stephen Offenbaker Monday through Friday on Locked On Reds. This episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Go to 5hourenergy.com today and use my promo code LOCKEDONGOLF to receive 20% off your order. Only valid through September 30th. Order transfusion flavored 5 Hour Energy shots today. Well, on today's show, we're going to talk about the fact that the Reds kept beating themselves in the foot. Shooting themselves in the foot and kept beating themselves in today's performance. We're going to talk about some of the decision-making Tito Francona made. I don't know if I'm going to criticize it or I'm going to analyze it and maybe discuss other options we had there as well. And I'm sure you've heard, but this Bristol Motor Speedway Classic was absolutely awful. And I'm going to tell you guys all about the experience of being there last night. So all that and a whole lot more. Let's get to it.
This is what you'll be talking about.
So obviously before the game stopped last night, it seemed like the Reds were starting to have some really nice momentum there. They take a 1-0 lead. They have no outs. They have runners on first and second. And then the rain comes in again and stops play. So you think, you wake up today, you're like, all right, we're going to pick up from here. Things are going to be pretty good. And they looked like they were going to be. I mean, first pitch out of the jump today, and they have a double steal. You're like, that's pretty cool. All right. I like the strategy. Push hard, move forward. Great. Got runners on second and third, no out. And then Austin Riley makes an unreal play to get Ellie. And I mean, I can't even be mad at Ellie for that one. And gets him at the plate. So obviously that could have been really handy, but that guy just found a way to make a play. And you have to get ahead and give credit there as well. But also, if you look through that, there's going to be a few things where they go from there and it's just not very easy. So Brent Suter is the opener today and did okay. I mean, as good as you possibly can, I guess. I know but gives it the homer to Eli White after he gets the first 2 outs. Puts the next 2 guys on. It's 3-run homer. And from there, the Reds are once again playing backup. They had a run from there, and you're thinking they have a good shot. It's 3-2 game, and it keeps it 3-2 until Eli White hits the second homer. But in that time frame, the Reds couldn't think to get going. They had the leadoff hitter on the 5th, they had the leadoff hitter on the 6th, they had the leadoff hitter on the 7th, and the leadoff hitter on the 9th. And neither of those times could they score a run. In the 8th, they had the bases loaded, and Brian Hayes smokes a ball where the person who came in for Austin Riley makes a hell of a play. Mr. Luke Williams makes an unreal play to get Tyler Stevenson out second base. That sucks. And then we kind of go to there, and then you get to the 9th inning, and Matt McLean is this close to tying the game up with the way that the ball was fielded. It looked like it potentially rolled at the top of the wall for a minute. And you're thinking that, maybe they could put something together here. Maybe they got a shot. And then, of course, it just goes downhill from there again. Ellie strikes out, and they can't get any solid contact as well. Jake Fraley has a pop-up. Austin Hayes has a not-so-great at-bat. But, it sucks because they can't really afford to lose series like this. It's one thing that, you had this weird situation and you probably had some energy sucked out of you, and I get that, but it's the majors. You have adversity, you got to figure it out. That's on you. And they couldn't put anything together. So today they're 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position. They leave 12 on base. They obviously have no homers today in the game. And look, I mean, you got to look around. Like TJ Friedel had 2 hits to start the day and a walk. Got on base 3 times. You have Matt McLean getting 2 hits in this game. Overall, big picture. You have, and then from there it's kind of sputtery. I know Minelli had the hit before the game ended. Gets out of the plate. Miguel Andujar gets 2 at bats. Gavin Lux comes in for him, gets a hit. They bring in Espinal and he strikes out. And then Jake Fraley pops up. So that was a really irritating way to use that spot in the order as well. Novi Marte gets a hit today. But other than that, I mean, Tyler Stevens had 2 walks, so it was just not very good. And hopefully we can find a way to kind of get this right going, because you got 50 games left, and a lot of those are against the division. You have not played very well against the division all year. So it's a now or never time for the Reds now. So I am not as optimistic as I have been in the past for the now portion of it. But they have their chances now. So 21 of the remaining 50 games are against the NL Central. They're 9-14 against the Central this year. Time to kick into gear. Time to put this together, and time to get some wins. You play division team foes all week this week. All 7 games on the road against the division teams. You got to start there. Got to figure out a way to get 2 out of 3 at least in Chicago, and 3 out of 4 against Pittsburgh. I don't know if you can, but that's what it's probably going to take to keep this going. So all in all, just a really irritating stretch of play right there for the Reds. This game was really, really annoying for many, many different reasons. Believe me, we will get to many of that later in the show. So while the Reds didn't do themselves any favors, Major League Baseball obviously didn't do them any favors with the way that this all played out. I don't think Terry Francona did themselves any favors either. And I want to kind of talk about my thoughts on some of the Tito decision making through this process right after this. Time to fuel up and turn up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the Bill, grape, ginger, and thyme flavors of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick emerging shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends, this one's a hole-in-one for your energy drink. Let's be honest, some days on the course or off it, you just need that extra boost to stay sharp and energized. Golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors, of course. The grape, ginger, lime flavor gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without chasing down the bev cart. If you go to 5hourenergy.com, that is the number 5hourenergy.com, you can use my code LOCKEDONGOLF to receive 20% off your first order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order. It cannot be used with other promotions. This code is not good on subscription orders. Whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion flavored 5 hours or energy shots today. This episode is also brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel, where right now FanDuel introduces new customers can bet up to $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. I know FanDuel is the place to be because it's what I use daily for my little quick bets. I love looking at pitcher outs. I love looking at strikeout lines. I'm a little annoyed because I took Chase Burns in this game for over strikeouts before I knew that what's going to happen with the rain portion of it. And obviously that did not go my way. And that stinks, but it's part of the process. I love FanDuel because there's so many different ways you can play. You can do a same game parlay. You can take it to the 9th, or you can do your straight bet right across there and see if you can go ahead and put some extra money on there as well. If you get, like I said, and new customers, if you use their $5 in your first bets, you can get up to $150 in bonus bets. Go to FanDuel.com to learn more. Want to shout out everydayers here on the POSTCAST, as we're so happy to have you here, and thank you so much for spending some time with me. And I appreciate your patience with me being late. I was in the car to the Bristol. I just literally got in the door like 5 minutes before I started. So if you are just checking me out for the first time, thank you so much. Please be sure to hit that notification button so you can not only get my show after each and every Reds game, but get Jeff and Steve Monday through Friday on Locked On Reds. And you can also, if you can't follow us along here on YouTube, subscribe to us in your podcast app of choice. We are on all of them. Let's talk about what the turning point of today's game.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Eli White's 3-run home run made it pretty much feel impossible for the Reds to come back, and you could tell in the moment that it happened. That was really, really just damning for the Reds and really frustrating. So that part really sucked. So there were some decisions made with the team that I'm not 1,000% certain I love, but I'm also not 1,000% certain I hate. And I kind of want to go through a couple options they could have done. And obviously at this point, as he said, she said, there's nothing we can do about it, but just some things that really kind of jumped out to me that I felt like I want to discuss. So obviously the game's delayed yesterday. And when they go ahead and start playing again, Atlanta scratches Spencer Strider. For what it's worth, I think it's the best move. Like that. I think that's the smart route. But the Reds on their end decide to throw Chase Burns out there. Now, at this point, I don't know if it's right or wrong, but if it's me, I probably wouldn't have done it because there's no way someone didn't say, like, dude, did you see the radar? This isn't going to get better. I don't know how we're going to get this game in. And maybe that's a Rob Manfred thing where he's like, you're going to get 5 innings in or else. I don't know. I don't have a say on that. I don't have it. I wasn't there. But just a lot of going wrong between the Reds and Major League Baseball and Terry Francona. So if, let's say they decide just go, okay, we'll have someone start the day tomorrow, then you have Chase Burns available today. Very possible. Could have been a good idea. Other options we can discuss here. I understand he's supposed to schedule the pitch tomorrow in Chicago, and you probably need that Chicago game more than you need this Atlanta game. But in my opinion, you need as many wins as you can possibly get. Is Nick Lodolo a better idea there? He's on 5 days rest. He's on the full rest he needs, and you could use him in this game as well to try to get a win. Try to go into Chicago, get this series win, go into Chicago with some momentum. So let's say I don't go either of those routes, and I'm not knocking Brent Suter. You just moved Nick Martinez to the bullpen. Why don't you use Nick Martinez there and then bring Brent Suter in later? You could potentially gotten through the game with those two guys. I mean, when you made the trade to bring in the additional starter, like I felt, and you're like, you announced Nick Martinez is going to the bullpen. This is like the kind of game he would have been really useful in, I think. And maybe I'm wrong. Obviously there's nothing I can do about it now, but I felt like the Reds just kind of did some things there where those could have been options. Brent Suter does go 2 1/3. I thought Luis May threw the ball really well today, his inning as well. Sam Mull got lucky, almost gave up a home run. Scott Barlow does get bitten, and then Lyon Richardson throws 2 innings. I assume that Lyon Richardson is probably on his way back down to Louisville, probably tomorrow. I know a lot of people were talking about the Will Benson thing. My best guess is Will Benson will be back with the team. I feel like because the 27th man today, they gave them the option of a pitcher. Yesterday, they did not give them the option of a pitcher, but Manfred said they could have one today, and I think that's why they went the route they did. So we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about Bristol. We're going to talk about, I don't have any good. This is a lot of bad, but I'm going to go through it all so we can just discuss how MLB botched this so horribly badly. But first, let's get to our locked on player of the game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
Our locked on player of the game is TJ Friedl with getting on base in this game 3 times, 2 hits, and a walk, though Matt McLain was this close, like we said, to being that guy. So you've probably heard, if you were on social media and you saw not just myself, Jeff and Steve talking about it, or you maybe saw Chad Dawson talk about it, you maybe say Austin Elmore talk about it. All of us that were there have horror stories of being in Bristol, Tennessee for the first and probably only Speedway Classic of all time. And it was, without a shadow of a doubt, the single-handed worst fan experience I have ever had. And look, rain put aside, you can't control rain. That is just part of life. It's part of baseball. It happens. But everything else was awful. So the Fan Fest is so small with that, it's supposed to be, they knew they had 90,000 people, right? There was no room to move around. Everything's kind of like crossing their paths between like the merch line and the beer line, or like going like this. There's no like order of operation to say like, follow this route. None of that. So I'm like, okay, whatever. We'll go inside and we'll try to get through there. If you bought like from SeatGeek or like Gametime or something like that, didn't work. You had to go back down and get in line again, get a paper ticket from a stand, and they'll get back in line and go through that route. Also awful. And then we get to the merch line. I'm with Steve and Auntie Darlene, and it's an hour and a half that we're waiting in line. We get up there, all Reds merchandise gone. So then we finally get to the part where it's like, you're in the game, food's like really hard to find. And the Tim McGraw concert sounds horrible. Like you can't really hear it. It's very echoey. And then of course we get to the game, you get to the whole introductions, which is cool. And everything just goes wrong from there with the production of the game. I thought like was neat, but everything else was awful. This was really, and I don't know if I blame Bristol or what, but then of course you've heard the stories about they run out of food. People were getting hot dogs without buns, nachos without cheese. I got to the point where I was in line and they flat out ran out of like pepperoni pizza, and all they had was like, they weren't even giving pizza boxes. They were like handing out on like wax paper. There was so many different ways MLB could have potentially had this be a great celebration of baseball, and they got it all wrong. It was something that I don't think that they're going to try to do again. And I can't imagine they're going to try to make that something that they try to make this event work again, because that was awful. I don't think that it was worth it. I really don't. So not only were the Reds irritating, but the fan experience was irritating as well. I'm sure. Oh yeah. And then of course, if we got to come back today, they said you could bring food in because they didn't have any options. There was no food in the stadium. And I think if I recall correctly, at one point, all they had were water bottles drink wise. So that's it. That's how it goes. Tomorrow, I can't wait to talk actual baseball again, because today was frustrating as the Reds do lose to the Braves 4-2. The Braves 4 runs on 10 hits, no errors. The Reds 2 runs on 10 hits, no errors. Your winning pitcher is Houston Waldrop. He is now 1-0. Brent Suter's the loser. He is now 1-2. And Raisel Iglesias gets his 14th save. The Reds, though, do have a chance to get back at tomorrow as they head to the friendly confines of Wrigley Field to face the Cubs. Nick Lodolo takes the hill for the Reds. He's 8-6 with a 3.09. He'll be going against Mike Soroka, who is 3-8 with a 4.87. First pitch is at 8:05, so I will be here a little bit later in the night. Everyone, thank you so much for being patient as I try to get back from Bristol. I'm Tim Daniel. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I'll see you all tomorrow night, and hopefully we have a better experience. Go Red Legs.